In the last video you learned about feasting, but that's not the only use of this basic resource in Northgard. In this video I'll talk about all the different ways of using food. Let's start. Villagers with no job gather food by default. If you assign too many jobs without food production, you'll have a shortage of food. The people will eventually starve, and in the worst case, you'll get sick. We don't want that. Normal villager production is fine in summer. But in winter, one villager only produces 14.4 food per month, instead of the 24 food per month in summer. So you want to save up on food in summer in order to assign the villagers to different jobs in winter. Imagine having your whole population injured. Injured villagers have 20% less production, meaning a winter without enough stored food can become quite deadly without food buildings. So how much value do food buildings really provide? So let's look at the stats. Monthly, farmers produce 30 food in summer and 16.8 food in winter. Hunters produce 28.5 food in summer and 18 in winter. And finally, fishermen produce 26.1 food in both summer and winter in 1 month. When we look at the food produced in an entire year, these are the numbers produced by each unit. So according to these numbers, farmers produce the most food throughout the year, making the farm the most efficient food building in Northgard. To increase your food income even more, you could build silos, which increase the food production for each specialized food worker by 10%. Attention! Silos don't work on sheepfolds. But don't worry, sheepfolds are OP anyway, as they produce a lot of food passively. So now that we know that food buildings are pretty efficient compared to normal villagers, how many food buildings do we actually build? Usually, each clan builds a minimum of 1 to 2 food buildings. There are some exceptions though. Clear clans such as the Wolf or Hounds can play entirely without food buildings. But that's only because they gain food for killing or looting neutrals. On the other hand, eco-clans such as the Stag or the Boar tend to build at least 3 food buildings instead. So when talking about the uses in food in Northgard, we have one main application apart from feasting, which is colonization. Food is the resource used for colonization. The only exceptions are the Raven clan, which can colonize with coins, and the colonization with the relic Yurmun, which can be used to color with lore or faith. But usually, food is the resource you'll need in order to expand. Most of the clans in Northgard have the lore colonization to help with that, as this helps by reducing the amount of food necessary to colonize one zone by 30%. In rare cases, food is also needed to recruit special units, like Red's Garm, Kaija, the Armored Bear, or the Lynx's Brunder and Kellin. Additionally, each clan except the Owl clan can slaughter sheep for 80 food, with the wolf getting 100 food instead. And all the different Northgard clans have special ways to attain food. As an example, the stag starts with 75 more food in the beginning of the game, and gains another plus 50 food for each 200 fame gained. The goat clan has sheepfolds which produce food passively, which is really good. The wolf clan gains 12 food for each slaughtered fox, 15 food for each slaughtered wolf, 120 food for each slaughtered bear, and 135 food for each slaughtered boar. It also gets food for slaughtering special units which have been recruited with food, such as the lynxes or kaija. You even get 300 food for killing the boar's giant boar as well. The Raven clan can raid food tiles and gain 20 food per mercenary in a raid, which is increased if the enemy has built a food building or a silo there. The Snake clan gains 100 food per food source in a tile burned in neutral territory without buildings, and even more food when burning a tile with a food building on it. Kaija the Armored Bear produces 12 food each month by standing in a fish tile. The boar can colonize tiles with foxes, wolves, bears or boars by paying an additional food fee. And it can summon a giant boar with lore, which produces 36 food each month, and it can slaughter it for 200 food. The Dragon clan can summon thralls, which gather food by default as well. The Kraken clan has fishermen, which always gather food, and the food production is boosted if the Kraken clan has word over 5, which pleases the Kraken god. Lynx has a special lore, which is Spoils of Plenty, to secure a stable food production with boosted hunters. Squirrel has stockpiling, which gives you +1 food for each 100 food in stock, up to +10, and it can meal ratatouille, which also gives food. The eagle gets food for clearing wild units on a tile with food, and it can also gain food by decolonizing an enemy tile if it has unlocked the lore Rapine. Stoat can increase its food production with levies, and last but not least, the hounds gets food by picking up souls with the wolfskin. So that's it about the resource food in Northgard. I hope you learned something new in this video, and as always, thank you for watching.